Being punished for committing a horrible crime is nothing out of the ordinary. What is out of the ordinary, however, is some convicts going on a rampage and beginning tearing through the courtroom, while others resort to profanity and harsh words towards those who they feel are unjustly punishing them. I'm your host Wyatt, and today we're taking a look at the craziest reactions to life sentences. Eric Penland. Penland was a man who was convicted of causing his son to be paralyzed, hearing impaired, and blind. At court, Penland was found guilty, and some would say lenient sentence of just 11 years. This, however, didn't sit well with Penland, who felt he was completely innocent of any wrongdoing. He therefore went on to do something unreasonable. Self-respecting member of the community, and would, under similar circumstances, he lashed out at the judge, calling him names and thunderously announcing to the courtroom attendants that he did nothing wrong. He was then forcefully let out by security.
I would submit to the court that this entire record is absolutely devoid of any remorse by the defendant.
But Penland insists he's innocent.
I've been falsely accused. I've been wrongfully convicted.
Judge Anthony D'Onofrio told Penland the jury disagreed and found him guilty. After being sentenced to 11 years, the defendant bowed and shook his head before letting out one final outburst.
Donta Wright. Donta Wright, 17, was on trial for taking the life of a high school student, Jordan Klee. Donta left the courtroom in shock as he smiled and giggled like a little boy in a candy store in front of his victim's family, instead of showing any remorse for his actions. To then make matters any worse, when given the chance to speak to the jury, instead of attempting to gain their sympathy or apologize to Jordan's family, he instead announced that he would be going home soon.
I'll be home soon. R.I.P. Keon. I love my family.
In the end, even the judge giving him 25 to 52-year sentence couldn't wipe that disturbing smile off of his face.
This year was supposed to be a year of celebration, of senior pictures with prom and graduation and parties. Instead, it was a nightmare that no parent should ever endure.
Ultimately, Jordan's family decided not to take this case to trial and to move forward with today's sentencing, the defense attorney apologizing on behalf of the 17-year-old.
His smiling was in no way meant as disrespectful either to the family, to the victim, or to this court.
Donta Wright was sentenced to 23 to 50 years for armed robbery, felony firearm, and second-degree murder of 18-year-old Jordan Klee.
Dexter Johnson. Dexter was a troubled teen who at 18 was involved in a carjacking that claimed the lives of Maria Aparici and Hugh Nago. As a result of these crimes, he was given the death penalty. This understandably greatly unsettled Dexter. He later flew into an uncontrollable rage, knocking down chairs left and right as chaos ensued into the courtroom. He would later be restrained and taken outside of the courtroom to the sounds of his mother's wailing. Manson Bryant. Manson Bryant, 35, was convicted by a jury in 2018 on robbery, kidnapping, and weapon charges relating to an armed burglary, and he was accomplice had committed. At Bryant's sentencing hearing in March 2019, he was given the chance to speak on his own behalf. He claimed he made bad decisions, vowed to change his ways, and pleaded to the judge and jury to not let him die in prison. However, due to the fact Manson had a lengthy criminal history coupled with severity of his crimes, he was given a 22-year sentencing. This enraged Manson, as he accused the judge of being a racist while spouting out all manner of foul language.
You racist! You racist! Nigga, 22 years! You racist! You nigga, gang sturgeon, lethal sturgeon!
Jaleel Hoskins. Jaleel Hoskins was found guilty of murdering his girlfriend. At the time, Latrice Mays, and disposing of her body as a result. He was given a lengthy and well-deserved sentence of 50 to 100 years in prison. Jaleel, however, wasn't having any of it, as he succumbed to his violent tendencies and began showing signs of discontentment and anger. This later escalated when he knocked over a nearby podium, began yelling at the family of his victim, and even tried approaching the judge before restrained by officers of the court.
And that was how the sentencing ended today, with Hoskins being rushed out of the room and both families erupting in yelling and screaming. We were the first to tell you last month when Hoskins pleaded guilty right in the middle of his murder trial.
Diana Lovejoy. Diana was a woman who in 2016 plotted with her lover, Walter McDavid, to take the life of her ex-husband, Greg Mulvihill. Thankfully, her plans were unsuccessful as Greg miraculously survived the attack. She was later apprehended along with her compliance and put on trial. In court, Diana complained complete ignorance and denied any wrongdoing. Nonetheless, she couldn't convince the jury in the slightest as she was given a 26 to life sentence. The prospect of watching your life crumble before your very eyes is terrifying indeed. But nobody expected Diana to be so devastated that she collapses from her chair onto the floor as a loud thud reverberates through the courtroom.
And the defendant, Weldon K. McDavid, guilty of the crime of conspiracy to commit murder.
All right, we're going to need to take a break. You're down. And if we could pause until we get up, jury, go back.
Seth Welch and Tatiana Fusaria. Tatiana Fusaria and her husband Seth Welch were both convicted on charges of child abuse and neglect, which ultimately resulted in the loss of their 10-month-old daughter, Mary Welch. In a chilling recorded phone call with dispatch, it was revealed that Seth initially called his lawyer upon finding his daughter's body. Rather than attempting to call an ambulance or see if she had any life left in her, they both received life sentences which left them speechless. Seth, in particular, seemed to not fully grasp the severity of his crimes, as evident by his astonished reaction to hearing his sentence. Shanita Latrice Cunningham and Eric May Butts. Shanita Latrice Cunningham and Eric May Butts were a couple convicted for abuse and taking the life of a 3-year-old Serenity Richardson. Shortly after being sentenced, both women were just so devastated that they collapsed to the floor as an emotional outcries of family members are heard. In the end, they both were escorted alongside each other and some of their family members who objected to the court's rule on the matter. Well, there you have it, you guys. If you enjoy prison, crime, or court videos in general, then drop a like and subscribe. Press on to the video you see on the screen right now to watch another video just like this one. And I'll see you over in that video.